All right, I think we are live. Hopefully you can hear me. So I have the chat on my phone just in case. I haven't streamed in forever. Hey guys, this is Primed here. I'm going to do a match replay analysis of some games in the RSC league. So this is a 3v3 league called Rocket Soccer Confederation. Hey Cobra. So we're going to be looking at a team called Marinara, who are in my franchise, the 50/50 Pizzeria. And we are going to look at one, maybe two games of their match last night, which was the first match day of the RSC Season 5. And we are going to be looking at a couple of games to help them out. They are in the tier, the contender tier, which is roughly platinum skill level, and I am in the minor league, which is roughly like champ 1 kind of tier level. So in my franchise, we're trying to help each other out by providing some analysis and also some coaching. So hopefully this will be helpful for anybody watching, but particularly for the guys in Marinara. So I'm going to go ahead and probably just jump right in. But actually, before I do that, I did want to show like the Rocket Soccer Confederation website. So for anybody who ends up watching this VOD or later, and you're wondering what is RSC, this is it. It's a league for Rocket League, 3v3, a ton of teams over like several different tiers, so many different ranks. It's a lot of fun. The season lasts roughly 2 months and then has playoffs. So we just started our season, but you can still join the community. If you go here to this website, I believe there's a link to the Discord. Yep, it's right here. And then you can join the community and also even come in as a what they call permanent free agent to be able to play with teams, not join a team because we're during the season already. The season's already started, but you can come in and you can play, have some fun, and then get ready for next season. So it's a lot of fun, and I wanted to kind of point that out. The other thing I wanted to point out was ballchasing.com, which is a great website where you can upload your replays for Rocket League and be able to see a lot of cool advanced stats. And actually, before I get into the replay analysis, I wanted to actually show some of the things that you could look at the ball chasing website, some of the things I look at when I look at replays. So this right here is, I made a replay group called Marinara for the team. And basically it's you can go ahead and upload replays and then organize them into replay groups. And so I've put up the first 4 games here, which like for RSC matches, it consists of 4 games, and it's just a series, so it's not a best of. They just play all 4 games. Marinara won one of those 4 games, and they wanted to kind of find out like what are some of the things they could do to improve before their next match, which is tomorrow night. So I actually wanted to show you, we're going to look at the first game, and before we look at it in the Rocket League client, we're going to look at it in ballchasing.com. Not the entire thing, but I wanted to give you a flavor of what you can see in ballchasing.com. So you can see right here, it actually comes up with this really cute sort of like top-down view of the replay. So it's kind of fun to look at. You can't really see the players' viewpoints, but you can see the boost and you can see how they move around. So I use this to kind of generally see sort of the flow of the game to see what people are doing. If you come up here to stats, you click on that and you can see not only the basic stats that you get, but you can also click, if you scroll down a little bit here, these different sort of categories. So for example, boost, you can see Marinara were the blue team and the other team were the Arctic Cats. They were the orange team. So you can see Marinara boost per minute, they were lower than the Cats, but they had a larger average boost amount. Probably what's more important, if you kind of scroll down, I like to look at the collected pads. So if you look at the collected pads, you can see Marinara in the blue, they collected far less big pads, but they did collect more small pads. So it's really important to collect small pads like as often as you can, but you do want to make sure that you get enough big pads that you're not kind of frozen out of those. And you can see that the Arctic Cats did steal quite a few, and the stolen pads are the ones that are in the other person's, the other team's half. So you can even come down here and see individual players and how they use their boost. So for example, Purple Toad King, who I'm going to call Toad, used boost quite a bit. Seth Assassin, I'm gonna just call him Seth. Didn't use very much at all in this game, at least not per minute. So you can see and it's not really that, oh, you use a lot of boost or you don't use a lot of boost, you'll win or lose, but it really just depends on the game. But it's just something to kind of keep an eye on. If you're way higher or way lower, it's something you might want to look at. There's also a way to use this site to see what are the averages. So for all the replays that people have uploaded to this site, you can look at, okay, well, how do Diamond 3 players or Platinum 1 players use their boost? And you can actually do that. So if you, I'm not going to do it now, but if you go up to population stats, you can click on that and you can filter by particular ranks or one rank if you want to, and you can see a lot of these stats, how they average out. And remember, it's based on the replays that people upload, so it's not the entire player base. But it's interesting to look at. So I like to look at big pads, small pads. So for example, Toad took a lot of big pads, not as many of the small pads. And so I think it's one of those things where some players use a lot of boost, so they go for those big pads, not as much for the small pads. So just something to keep in mind. This is kind of neat. I like this. You can see where people pick up their boost. So kind of take a look. This doesn't really matter as much. You'll see, except for just the numbers. You see these big numbers like, whoa, people are going for a big boost. Then you can see how these little things, you can see how many times people pick up the small pads. So it's kind of nice to look at. Not as important as this other heat map that I'll show you in a moment, but kind of fun to see how you're doing against compared to other people. Positioning is more important. I think this is probably one of the most important things to look at if you're looking at replays on this website. And that is like, okay, how long are you in your defensive third? How long are you in the offensive third? And versus the other team. So obviously you're stuck. And if you look at this one over here, ball, I'll just switch over here. You can see you're in the ball's in the blue side quite a bit compared to the orange side. So it's in the Marinara side quite a bit. Also the orange side, the Arctic Cats had more possession, and possession means that the orange team or that team was the last one to touch it. I would say this is probably a little bit more important than this, but either way, you can kind of take a look at that. But let's go back to positioning, because what I like to look at is like how far away you are from your teammates and how much you are in front of the ball versus behind the ball. And we'll see that in the replays, but it's kind of nice to see it in the stats. So you can see in this particular game, Seth was a little further away than his teammates, Teddy and Toad. And that happens quite a bit, when you have guys who are kind of working the ball up the field quite a bit, and then, you have another person who's a little bit more behind. But that can switch. In another game, it might be Seth and another person who's maybe up quite a bit, and another person who's like further back. Sometimes this also means that the one person is up ahead of everybody and two people are behind. Kind of hard to tell from these sometimes about which way it's pointed. Usually I just look at these and kind of figure out like, okay, is one person much further away from another person? So use that as sort of a gauge, like, okay, are we rotating close? Are we spacing more ideal, or are we like too far apart, too close together, things like that. So it's kind of nice to use that. And then here you can see, how long is somebody in the defensive third. So you can see Seth in this particular game spent a lot of his time in the defensive third, very little in the offensive third. That doesn't mean it's good or bad, but it's something to kind of keep in mind as we watch the replay. And then you can look at the other players as well. Placement behind the ball, this one's really important. In really high level play, you're going to be in front of the ball actually quite a bit, because the ball is just moving back and forth so much, and you can pass up to a player who's in front of the ball. But in lower level play, mid-level play, you probably want to be behind the ball as much as you can. Of course, that doesn't mean just because you're behind the ball that means you're doing, like a fantastic job. It could mean that you're hanging out on your defensive end, and so you're never really in front of the ball. But it probably, I would say at the mid-levels, we're looking at Platinum, being in front of the ball more than other people, probably not a good idea, because that means that you're spending a lot of time not where the ball is, kind of like further up the field, and your teammates are trying to take care of stuff in the back. Typically that's what that means. And so I would say be careful of this right here, this percentage in front of the ball. You want to try to be behind the ball when you can. So. And then you can kind of look down here. This is really interesting. These are the heat maps I mentioned before. So if you look at these, you can see where a player has been like the majority of the time. And you look at Seth, he was in the net a lot. And we'll see that in the replay. And the things that I'm saying, I may say about a particular player, but it's nothing personal for that player. It's really just something to kind of keep in mind. Is anybody playing the game? So you have to take care of your positioning, your spacing compared to other people. And this is a way to kind of look at that, is using these heat maps. So you can see Toad was quite, he was all over the map, which typically is pretty good, unless you're up here and the ball's back here, which is not so good. And you can see Teddy spent a lot of time on his back line, probably defending and trying to clear the ball and things like that. And again, Seth was very concentrated right here. So these heat maps are really neat to kind of look at and kind of see what you're doing in a particular game. And then movement. Finally, this is a pretty good way of actually seeing like how fast you're going, how much time you spend in the air. This is actually pretty good. Like, I noticed that I don't spend a lot of time like supersonic, and I need to do that more. Doesn't mean I need to like fly all over the field all the time, but if you notice you're really low, like using supersonic, and you're really high on slow speed, you might need to pick it up, maybe use a little bit more boost, dodge around the field. And that's what I noticed in this replay, is some players don't really use their dodge to pick up speed to get around the field, because that's a way you can conserve boost but still get around the field quickly. So you can look at your speed. You can also look at the percentage on the ground in the low air or the high air. This is a platinum ranked match, so there's not going to be a lot of people like high in the air all the time, more in the low air, which is fine. But if you are mostly on the ground, if you're controlling the ball and you're making plays on the ground, I know a player in our franchise, his name is Cube, great player controlling the ball. He's on the ground a lot, the one style type of player, and that would be fine for him. But if you're on the ground because you're not attacking balls in the air that you should be, then that's not as good. And then power slide's really interesting. They added this not too long ago, and you can see how much how much power sliding you're doing, what's the average. And you can see when Seth uses power slide, he actually uses it, he presses that button down and uses power slide quite a bit. That probably slows him down. You want to be really careful. You want to just tap power slide. Be careful about using power slide like you're in a Dukes of Hazzard or like Knight Rider movie or a TV show. You don't want to just be sliding into net and everything. You want to really keep up your momentum as much as you can. And so you'll see players who use power slide quite a bit. They'll tap it a lot. So, turn and then tap. Because if you do power slide first and then you turn, your momentum is taking you to where you are already going, and you're just sort of like spinning your car on the ground, which is okay in some circumstances. But you really want to use power slide as a way to, instead of really sliding, to just sort of like help you turn a little bit faster. And so turn, then tap, and then you'll start your slide. But then since you tapped it and you didn't hold it, then it just helps you kind of turn a little bit sharper, and then you can use your boost to kind of get around and turn. So I would really suggest that. When we look at the replay, we'll kind of see that, but just take care, when you use power slide too much, you're slowing yourself down, and you want to try to keep your speed up. Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and get into it. Again, that's just the one match I wanted to show, just to kind of give you an idea of how you can use ballchasing.com, what sort of things to look at. There's actually demos in here too. I forgot they added that, so that's kind of neat. But not a whole lot of demos that game. So, all right. Last season we had a player named Tooth Bodo, who is like probably has the most demos of anybody in Rocket League, 75,000 or something crazy. And we played him twice, and man, he went out of his way for demos. So I don't remember what his numbers look like for demos. Maybe at the time they didn't have the demo numbers in ballchasing.com, but it was crazy. But we did a good job of like making him pay for going out of his way for demos. Okay, so let's jump into the replay, because that's why you are here. You can see on the right, hopefully you can see this, I have this thing called the Epic Pen, and no, it has nothing to do with Epic Games. It's just called Epic Pen. So if you look up, I'm not sure if it's like epicpen.com. It might not be. Just Google Epic Pen, and it's a free tool. I'm not sponsoring it or anything like that. You can pay for like a premium version. I just got this on a recommendation by Ether Ninja. So Ether Ninja is this really great guy. He also does some coaching in our league, in our community in the RSC, and he's the one that introduced me to this. And I know I think there's been some other people who've used it as well. So it's pretty neat. I'm using it for the first time, so bear with me. But we are going to go into where are we? Here we go. Into replays, and we're going to look at the first game. So again, this is Marinara versus Arctic Cats. I think I'd already been started watching it, so we are already on right here. I'm going to go ahead and use fly cam so I can see what's going on. And then I'm going to pause it and I'm going to play, and I might reverse and talk about this, take a little bit of time to do it. When I see certain things and I just want to point out certain things. So let's see what's happening right here. Actually, let's back it up. We're going to go, I guess it actually may have started after the kickoff. But anyway, so we have Marinara in the blue. That's the team we're going to be focusing on. You know, we'll see Arctic Cast in the orange a little bit as well. These are the players in here: Seth, Teddy, and Toad. And let's see how they do. Let's see, Toad's following up. That's fine. Teddy grabs side boost. Coming in for the hit as Toad comes back. That's great. Toad comes in, and that's fine. Looks like he squeezes it in for the goal. So there, those two guys, Toad and Teddy, doing a good job of keeping their rotations tight, keeping the pressure on. Seth, I feel like, was probably a little further back than he could have, but it's fine. If I remember correctly, this is like a kind of a play off the wall where he gets it and scores. Is that right? No, that was a different game. Okay, so this is coming around. Let me go back because I wanted to see if we. Let's follow Seth for just a moment. So right here, it looks like he's got a bead on the goal. So he's pretty much like, I gotta get to goal. The ball is coming. Let's see, Teddy's up in the offensive zone. We have Toad right here, who's covering the back post, and Toad has probably the best angle to get this ball. Seth could turn on this, but I mean, probably if he did that, he'd probably end up just knocking into the sidewall and centering it for the Cats. So he did the right thing by letting Toad get that. But let's see what Seth does. See, he goes basically straight into the net. So two things here. One thing is Toad did the right thing by getting into the back post. And oh, sorry. I saw Teddy. He chatted something, and I wasn't sure what he's referring to, but that's fine. Okay, so right here we have Seth moving in, and instead of going, okay, so I get to use. Let's see if this works. Boom, boom, boom. I am gonna see if this. So Seth right here, he's going straight to the goal, but if he had gone kind of around like this, right? He could have picked up these boost pads right here and gotten into the back post. And at the same time, Toad, he hesitated in net. He did a really good job of coming through the back post. But if he hadn't hesitated, he would have been able to already get across here and get to the challenge. So let's see what happens. I'm going to go back. I have to actually alt-tab around because the only way that I can do this and use the Epic Pen is by pausing it, and then you have like the big thing in there, which is like not very helpful. So I'm going to have to alt-tab back and forth. So we see right here, Toad hesitated, and because of that, Expert Assassin is able to get it past him. Now Seth, he was there in goal, so he was able to clear it, and then Toad gets it down. So it works out, but it's not ideal. Teddy comes up, that's fine. That's a double commit right there. That happens. If we want to go back and kind of see, now actually that's it happened way before that. So let's take a look. Seth hits it right here. Okay, Teddy's back. He's third. You have Toad and you have Seth. Let's see. Seth is going, it looks like he's going back behind Toad. He sees the ball's tapped, like kind of touched off by, I think it was Papa Hoff. So Toad decides to come in, or Seth decides to turn. Now the thing is, he saw Toad, and so there's the communication right there. Should have been, one of those guys should have been like, I got it. And maybe there was, but at that point, somebody should have said, I got it, but instead both go for it. So it's a double commit right there. And then they continue. So I think at this point, like, I would say Seth is further back. He can see Toad and the ball. Seth should peel off right here and probably go, I wish I could use this, but I can't, because I have to go into This one. He probably should have like peeled off and then come over here, because most likely this ball, if it doesn't score, it's coming out. This ball right here is coming out over here. I wish I could do different colors. Can it do different colors? Ooh, look at that. Ooh, wait a minute. So I could do blue. Oh, hold on. Let's change this to blue. That could be too. Let's do brighter blue. So he should be coming over here, right? And then the ball. Let's do. Should we do white? No, let's do yellow for the ball. Yeah. Let's do white for the ball. The ball's probably gonna hit here and then come this way, right? I'll do orange for the other guys, but not really. All right. So yeah. So he'd be able to get that, and then Teddy could back him up. So basically, Teddy could come around here and back him up. But instead, Steph like chases after it with Toad, which is not so good. So let's see what happens. Oh, now I gotta like alt tab back. This is the only thing I don't like about this. I might end up just doing it with the big options menu in the middle, just because it'll be easier. But for now, okay. So Seth is basically okay. So let's go back a moment, and I want you to show this to you. This is what happens when you double commit like in the box, right? Toad's in the net. Seth basically has no play on the ball. The best Seth could probably do is if that ball was lower, he could maybe back pass it to Teddy. But that's pretty difficult, I would say. At this level, you could try it, but it can be dangerous because if you don't make a good low pass on the ground to Teddy, it could go past him. And then, so I would say it's Seth has to get out of there like as soon as possible because Toad's in the net. And he's not going to be able to recover very quickly. Teddy's like, okay, I see all three orange guys right there. If I can just get the ball back out into the box, maybe I can score it, or Toad can turn around and score it or something like that. But it's just, it puts so much pressure on Teddy to make sure to get a good hit on this. So Seth really has to be able to come back like as soon as he can and just bail. So let's see. Okay, so Teddy makes it, Seth gets back. So there again, the double commit. So that's another one of those things you got to watch for. I think it's just, that's more of a communication. It's great that Seth was aggressive on that. And in fact, it probably was, well, I don't know. Toad actually had a pretty good angle on that. But I think if I was Seth, I would not have turned on that because, like Toad is still recovering and he's still around the area, but it's just a communication thing. All right, so let's keep going. Teddy comes back post. Toad goes straight. That's good because he was there, so it's his. Let me go back real quick because I wanna see what happens here. So I think for Teddy here, what I would do is probably go like into the back post. So again, you don't always have to go into the back post if it's like an emergency, but Toad's already out there. So I would say like, go like kind of come around here like this. Don't go into the back post, and then because what happens if you go into the net, you're kind of losing momentum. So it's probably better to go here, and then you can kind of come here and be ready to like attack the thing if it gets past Purple Toad. So let's see. Crap! I gotta get back to the. Oops! Oh my gosh! Now it's like. Okay, now it's not working. All right. Oh, and same thing happened with Seth. He basically came, and as soon as Teddy came out, Seth did the same thing. So, two things that I wanted to point out. One is that don't like power slide into your net, and the second thing is don't go like back and forth in your net, like while you're waiting. I know that's sort of like I don't know. I do that sometimes too. It's just a habit, but I would be careful of that because you could be like moving backwards when something happens, and you got to move forwards again. And so I would really suggest that don't go so deep into the net. For one, don't power slide into the net, and two, don't go so deep into the net. Try to be a little more shallow. So for example, like if you're let's see, instead of going here and then going like this, what you really should be doing is you should be coming out here and going a little bit more shallow like this. Okay, and you kind of like, you're tucked in a little bit here, but really the ball's already out. It's already going over here. You don't need to be in the net. You should already be kind of out. But let's see where Toad is. Go back. Yeah, Toad's pretty far away, so I can understand why Seth is staying in the net. But I would say if you can see all these orange guys, they're already kind of backtracking. Teddy's already got the ball. I think it's safe to kind of start coming out. So, all right, I gotta make sure this works because will it work? Yay! Okay, great. Just have the little pencil in there. Oh, hey, Coltrane. Okay, looks fine. Okay, so that that could be the case that Teddy called Seth off, and Teddy, you could, if you wanted to, you could confirm that. But basically, right here, that should have been Seth's ball, unless he didn't have boost, or Teddy, you called him off. That's a great save by Seth right there. Teddy comes up, gets a touch. That's great. Toad, that should be Teddy's. You probably shouldn't be going for that, which is fine. Happens. All right, Seth, coming around. That's a little better. You didn't tuck yourself into the goal. It's a little bit of a free-for-all that happens in front of the net. Okay, should have some communication. Seth has it. Teddy's got to be kind of careful, rotating back. That's fine. And that was fine. That happens. I wouldn't worry about that. Let's go back and kind of break it down and see what happened. Okay, so first, let's see. Toad's taking the initiative to go for it. That is fine. Seth and Teddy bang into each other to try to get that boost, I'm assuming. Let's see who got the boost. Looks like Seth must have gotten the boost, right? Okay, he got the boost. So I was just curious about that. Okay, Seth has the boost. Teddy doesn't, and that's why Teddy's going back. I think that's a good thing. Seth's trying to attack the ball. Good thing. Touches it up. That's just a difficult touch. I don't think there's anything you could have done, Teddy, for that. Wouldn't worry too much about that one. Oh, and I wanted to say that that's an instance where, you know, it's fine to rotate through the front post if it's like, if you have to, and that's what Teddy did. And really, it was just a great touch by, I think it was Papa Hoff that scored that. So otherwise, Teddy did the right thing to try to get back and try to get that ball safely cleared across the goal. Okay, Toad takes the initiative. Teddy, nice shot. Seth, you're probably a little too close on that one, I would just say. Okay, so right here, Toad goes for it. Teddy sees he missed it. He's going for it. Seth, I think you're a little too close on that one. So probably be more like at closer to kind of midfield, or maybe a little past midfield on that one. Okay, Toad gets it. Seth is coming up, attacking the ball. That's great. Teddy, you probably could have gone, I would say you probably should have gone around to the right and already gone up the field. But that's fine. You're coming back. It's a good defensive touch. I think Seth, again, don't power slide into the goal, because it's sort of like, it doesn't really help as much as you might think. I think it's just a habit sometimes that people tend to do. Hey, so Humble, I'm doing Marinara's game because they are It's the Marinara and the cheese fries, which are our contender and amateur teams, and I'm helping to coach them. So I'm reviewing their replays. I could probably review other people's replays if they're interested, but you'll have people that could probably help you out as well. So sorry I haven't been paying attention here. Okay, that's just a communication thing. I think it was fine that Teddy popped that ball up because he was there. But if Toad had a beat on it, Toad, you just got to call that out. Nice aggressive move by Toad right there. Teddy goes back. Teddy, I would say, let's go back real quick. I know you know this, but you looked a little confused. So I would say at this point, there's two things you could do. Okay, so you're here. You're probably looking right, like looking at the goal right here, but and the ball's over top of you. But I would say before that, if you could either come around to the back post, or you see Seth deep into the goal, you can go up, up here. Let's see. So you could have either come around here and let Seth attack it, or you can come up here and try to go up on the wall to clear that. Difficult to do, but I think what happened was you were like, oh, maybe Seth can get this and I'll just get behind him. But that's just a lot of times if you have like two people in the goal, you're both kind of like sitting ducks. So I would recommend supporting Seth either by getting behind him around this way or by trying to go up the wall, see if you can clear it. Again, difficult, but that's in that situation, that's what I would recommend. Okay, let's see what happens.
Best armor in the game.
Okay, so you kind of go into goal, you circle around because Seth isn't really moving out of the goal, so you come out. Seth just has to make sure to kind of call that and say, I got it. That's a good aggressive move right there. Toad's going to come up and attack, which is great. Teddy recognizes that he might not have it. Yeah, that one was... Let's go back real quick. So... This right here, Seth made an aggressive move to get out to that ball. So he's up in the offensive end. Toad's trying to challenge this. I would say for this one right here, Teddy, this is one of the few instances where you can do sort of a front post kind of rotation. And you kind of did this. And that's basically like where you kind of come around. So you basically would want to, you're right here, you want to kind of come around this way. That way you can either go up, clear the ball if the ball comes up here, or you can kind of move across and basically play it this way if the ball comes out. So that's what I would do because you really don't have any other choice. I think you waited there because you weren't sure, maybe if the ball is going to kind of squirt out over here. But I think if you were in this position or up here, you would have time to be able to get to that ball or slow it down. Instead, you kind of waited here hoping. But I would say one of these two would probably be the better. Probably this one. I mean, it depends. Like if it looks like the ball is going to go high and it's going to go like up here, then you want to get on the wall. But again, it's dangerous. There's nobody here. Seth's not going to get there anytime soon. Toad's probably not going to get there anytime soon. So I think in those instances, like unless you're sure the ball's coming up here, probably better just to kind of, instead of looking this way, maybe looking this way to make sure that if the ball squirts out here, that you can defend a shot. Because since you're facing this way, you're not going to be able to defend the net. So I hope that makes sense. Okay, let's see. All right. So it took a while. Expert Assassin has a nice little hit on that. All right. So everybody gets back, but kind of gravitates toward the goal. And that's one of those things where you just you don't want to bunch up, whether it's on offense or defense. You have to be careful of that. And here Teddy's waiting to make it hit. It's a good hit. Toad comes up because he knows Teddy's probably like low on boost, or maybe he's communicated that. Teddy goes back. He comes up again. So I want to point one thing out right here.
Dude, that guy's like
let's see. I didn't realize this was a long overtime game. So I noticed this like a few times when I was watching the replay. So I was looking at the replays earlier today on ball chasing, and I noticed that Teddy, you would cut in front of Seth, and I'm guessing you probably called it, and you would turn, and Seth was comfortable with that. But I would say like if Seth has boost. And he has a good angle, he should be moving up. And Teddy, you should, when you're moving back to get, let's say boost or something, Seth should be moving up. Instead, you're kind of coming back around. And the issue with that is not really that, you're cutting rotation. That's not the issue, because sometimes you have to cut rotation. The issue is that Seth could be sitting on quite a bit of boost. And let's take a look.
Slightly lower than my enemy's and
yeah, he's got 100 boost. You went back and got boost, but he could have already been up. Like if we looked at this earlier, here,
so you get to carry.
He sees both of you up. As soon as Teddy comes back, he should have gone up to attack that. That should have been Seth's ball right there. He had full boost, should have been up, and then Teddy had full boost and could have backed you up, Seth. So keep an eye on that. And again, you're up by 1 goal, so you want to try to play defensive, but you're too far away, I would say, especially now Toad is up, back. So you should have been up a little bit more, and you would have been able to easily clear that. Okay, I'm going to pause once more to go into fly cam. Okay, so let's see what happens here. Toad, Teddy's on the side. Let's see where Seth is. He's hanging out in goal. 15 seconds left. I mean, it makes sense. But sometimes you got to take that chance and be a little closer. So that way, if a ball squirts out to the middle right here, where Teddy isn't and Toad isn't, you're not going to have to make a difficult save because you're already there.
All right, well that worked.
And I would say, Teddy, you're not really trying to score a goal here because you're already up by 1. I would say in this instance right here, maybe you should have been back playing midfield because Seth was so far back.
Well, you can use the hold buttons to get extra.
Let's look. So this is a little greedy right there. You want to get that goal. Instead, you should have already moved back. Seth should have already moved up to challenge that, especially as soon as the guys started coming back.
Oh, okay. Well,
like pretty much.
No, never mind. That's the entire team.
Like as soon as this happened, and you see Teddy coming back and you see Toad coming back, Seth needs to get out there and challenge that ball. Actually, ideally, he should have already been like way up here. And that's probably why he didn't go out to challenge that ball, because he was so far away. But ideally, he would have already been kind of like lurking in the middle, ready to challenge that ball as soon as he saw Teddy coming back. Instead, he's really far away. And so they get the ball down the field. And then there's just an unfortunate own goal right there. But none of that would have happened if you had better spacing. So, and what I mean by that is not that, like right here, Seth, you're just too far away, and then Toad and Teddy, you're too close together for that time and score. If you were down by 1, absolutely, and in fact, Seth should have been up. But if you were tied, that's not bad. I mean, you're trying to score and win the game, but you're up by 1. It's too close together. You're too far up. I would say probably take care and have better spacing at the end of the game. So the score is tied. Let's go into overtime. It's a good kickoff. Allows Toad to be able to get the ball. Nice shot. Expert assassin. Teddy's nice control up the wall. Toad probably should have turned on that a little faster, but great shot. Oh my gosh, what a save right there. Seth jumping in. That's okay. Let's see if that's warranted. Just want to see. I think that's Seth's shot, right? I think Teddy's coming over. He should have seen Seth. Maybe he didn't, but I would say that's Seth's. Gotta let Seth have that. In fact, I think he might have scored on that if he would have.
Dude, he's such
let's
a
say.
rep, too. He's the highest in the game.
Yeah, I think he might have scored on that. So Teddy, by coming across like that, and Seth having the better angle, it's you prevented him from getting a good shot, which is fine. It happens, but you just want to keep that in mind. So nice pressure. Toad coming up to help you out. Seth in the midfield, which is good. That one again, that was Seth's, and Teddy, you came straight across all the way. You want to be really careful of that. So like when you're, let's go back real quick. Okay, as soon as the ball goes out like this, so Teddy, you probably have ball cam on, but I would say, let's see if, let's see. Yeah, so you had ball cam on. I would say take a moment as you come off the wall, or even before you come off the wall, switch ball cam off so you can look, or use your right stick, so that you can look over to your left. Because if Seth is coming in, then you need to go back, right, to be able to fill in behind him. So let's take a look here. Let's go up. See, if at that point, if you would have turned your ball cam off, you would have been able to see Seth come up. So Seth's coming up here. Oop, wrong one. Oh my gosh. Okay. Seth is coming up here. And then Teddy, instead of going across like this, what you would do is fill in behind him, right? So, like that. Yeah, so let's see what happens. Oh, gonna do the... Instead, you kind of cut across. And it's true that Seth couldn't get to that ball, but I think it would have been it would have been a lot less awkward getting back if you had curled around, because then you would have curled around, you would have seen that Seth did not have a good play on the ball, and you would have gone back already and been able to get that ball. Instead, you ended up reversing all the way back. All right, let's see here. Teddy, you're taking initiative. Oh, okay. So I think I talked about this before, that sometimes it's okay to do front post rotation through the front post, but that's only when you pretty much have no other choice. If you have players that are in position, and you see, if you're Purple Toad King, you should see, well, you might have ball cam on, but you have to either know that your teammates are going to be there by them calling it out. You know, Seth saying, you know, I got net, or Teddy saying I got back post, or back post or something. You would know to then rotate around them. So Toad, let's look and double check, but I have a feeling you probably had ball cam on. No, you didn't. So you saw them. Okay. Interesting. Oh, and then you switched ball cam off and you ran into Teddy. Okay. So, yeah, let's just go back. So, like right here, you can't get it. You need to get out. So as soon as you go here and you turn ball cam off, which was a great idea, perfectly done. You see Seth, you see Teddy, you just need to get out. And the way you do that is to go this way, all the way around, right? Because Seth is coming in, he can attack. Beyond Teddy's already got back post. You go around, Toad, and you're golden. Instead, you take the short route because you're afraid that somebody's going to come in and jam it into the near post. But that's, you know, it's you got guys who can cover that. So let's go. That's right, I need to go back. There we go. Okay, so we have the teammate bump. Put it on fly cam here. Nice save by Teddy. That was probably Seth's ball. So Teddy, that was a slow roller to Seth, who could have power cleared it down. So you got to keep an eye on that. That's fine. That happens. Again, that's communication. Teddy has it. So this was just a small little thing, but this is something to kind of keep in mind. We're going to watch what Toad does real quick right here. So I think Toad has really good position. Teddy, there's two things Teddy could do. One is he can try to curl around the ball. So, and this would be very difficult to do, but it's something I'm working on too, but it's something to try to learn as soon as you can. And that is, if you can curl around this ball. Let's say the ball is here by that point. Then you can try an infield pass to Toad. Because you see both these guys are going back to the goal. So you have plenty of time to get around this ball and dodge into it so it goes to the side, or even pick it up and then flick it over so that Toad can go up in the air and get it. Either way. Or the option, of course, is to go around the corner. And that's fine. That's actually looks like what you were doing. Now let's watch Toad. What Toad does is he sees the ball and then turns. And I'm not sure why. So, because he sees Teddy there. And then you notice he turns right back because he was like, wait, what am I doing? And so he turns right back right here because he knows Teddy has the ball. But at that point, Teddy passes it, but Toad, you're not in position. So Toad, like once you see right here that Teddy's not going to be able to pass it to you because he's a little too far behind the ball, then you probably want to slow down. Of course, you don't want to slow down to a stop because Expert Assassin could like come behind you and blow you up. But you probably should slow down. That would allow Teddy to get around and be able to make a pass off the corner or make a direct pass like he did right there. So kind of keep that in mind as you're going up the field with your teammate. Is you had good spacing there, but then you kind of turned in. So you really have to try to be patient. And really look at what your teammate is doing and what they could potentially do. So try to read your teammate and how they're going to hit the ball. And that's really the name of the game, is reading the ball, reading your teammates, reading your opponents, getting into position as quickly as you can to make good touches. You do all of that stuff and good things happen. That's really all it is. You don't really need advanced mechanics to win in this game. It's really about like reading plays, getting into good position, and just making as many opportunities. Because if you watch this game, I mean, this is a long overtime. There's probably so many chances to score in this overtime, but it's just because people make mistakes. But there's so many players on the field, the ball just gets like kind of bumped all around. If this was 2v2, this game would have probably been over. But with 3v3, there's just players all around. But you have to take advantage of all those little mistakes. If you can take advantage of those little mistakes and make good touches and not try to make the perfect touch, then you'll be able to put a string of plays together that could end up in a score. I think that's fine. I think Seth, I think at that point, Seth, you had to stop. If you probably should, Toad probably should have called you off and you should have already rotated back and let Toad take that shot. Okay, Teddy, nice. Seth, you need to attack that. You have to, probably Toad has to tell you that he's coming back and that, you know, for you to go for it. Or you need to know, Seth, to go for that one. Okay, this is good. It's fine, it's good pressure. Seth, you went way too far back. And I think that was another thing I noticed. Sometimes is that, Seth, you automatically go to the net, even when you don't need to. So keep that in mind as well. Right here, let's say instead of going to net, you had done this. Let's see. Swung around here. See these pads? And then boom, right? You pick up these pads right here. Or you can go back and get the corner boost, but the ball's so far away. You might think, oh, that means I have more time to get the corner boost. But really, the ball's so far away, you can make no play on it. But if you turned here and picked up these little boost pads. Oh, let's take a look. Is this the play you're talking about, whether he's in ball cam? Let's see. I don't know which play you meant, but he is in ball cam here.
Yeah, I did a bit of it, but then I decided that I was.
Okay, so yeah, so I would say like swing around, get those boost pads, and then you'd be able to potentially make a play on the ball.
I know.
Okay, let's go back.
I just got executed.
So you're so far away, you can't like. So you would have been able to. You could have called off Toad, or Toad would have seen you. You would have been over there, made a play. I mean, it doesn't turn out badly, but you have to remember it's kind of like every little play or touch is kind of like, you know, it either adds up or it takes away from what you're trying to do. And you just have to try to get as many positive plays. Great challenge right there. That's Seth. That's your ball. You should have been up in the air to get it, unless Toad called you off. But you had the boost and you were probably closer. So if you weren't comfortable with that kind of aerial and Toad called you off, that's fine. But if that's the case, then you need to kind of get out and get like either rotate to the side to be able to support, or maybe to start rotating backwards. Okay, Teddy has that. Great shot. Almost went in. Okay, that you have to be careful. You're moving backward there, so you probably don't want to be touching the ball, like moving backward when potentially a teammate like that is coming up to it. So a lot of that's communication. A lot of it is turning off ball cam, just like here and there, so that you can see sort of what's behind you. Great save. Let me move it back to, let's see what's going on.
You know, like doing his combo.
Fly cam.
Yeah, his cutscene combo. You punch him. Yeah, I love doing that. And
Great shot by Toad right here.
Like,
Let's just watch this again. This is really nice. He sees the miss and he just jams it into the corner.
so fun.
Perfect shot.
So satisfying.
Okay, so a lot of good stuff. A lot of stuff that needs to be corrected. I think the biggest thing you need to do is just work on your comms. That's something that we can talk about next time we get together, is talk about how your comms are, what kind of comms you use, when you use comms. Because comms are like sort of the... unless you've been playing with each other forever and you know exactly where each other are going to be, you really need comms, because when you know where somebody is, I'll just let this run so we're not like bored listening to me talk. When you know where somebody is, then it makes it easier to get into good position. So comms are sort of like that foundation. Put it on director view. Some people don't like director view, but so comms is like that foundation, because what it does is it allows you to call out where you are, and it allows your teammates to be able to know where you are and what you're doing. And so always start with comms. And it's so, and I do this too. I sometimes, forget to use comms, or I get quiet. It happens, but try as much as you can to use comms to say where you are. Oh, I'm going here, or I'm going there, or I'm going to do this. I got it, or I'm back post, whatever it might be. Use your comms. That helps you to not double commit, which is usually like the killer, but not always. In 3v3, a lot of times double commit is not going to be punished, especially at sort of the mid levels, the mid ranks. But it's still not good, because what it happens is it puts your third into a bad position, then you can't get pressure, and it just makes everything a lot tougher. So comms is number one. Number two is spacing. I think there's two parts of that. One is making sure that the third man is not too far back. The third man really should be, I would say, about half the field away from the ideally half the field away from like the first man. So for example, like you might see, let me see if I can get into fly cam right here. Beyond Teddy, see this is good right here. Now that means that Toad might have to go back to backtrack, but that's fine. That's what you have to do. You want to be like first man, have the ball, second man be about a quarter of the field behind, third man about a quarter of the field behind them, generally. So basically, if you're the third man, you don't want to be like more than half the field away from the first man or the ball, really. That's, as the third man, you're really kind of tracking the ball as much as anything. So if you're the third man and you're like more than half the field away from the ball, then you're probably too far, unless the other team's about to boom the ball. Then yes, that's fine to be more than like say half the field away, because you want to make sure you're able to get to it. So spacing, try to keep like fairly, I wouldn't say tight spacing, but just sort of like optimal spacing as much as you can. See here, Toad a little too far away, but he's coming up, so that's good. That was one of those things where it was probably somebody needs to call it out, but otherwise it was a good play. Teddy probably paused a little too long, needed to get back, but it's fine, because teams at this level are have some difficulty in really setting up passes to get quick shots. But in general, you just want to move around quickly. So first thing is calm, second thing is spacing, third thing is move around the field. Try to move around the field quicker. Like if you're moving here, and you know that you need to get someplace, go ahead and use a dodge. Don't use all your boost. So use a little bit of dodge to kind of get your momentum going, and then use a front or a diagonal dodge. Diagonal dodge actually gives you more speed, but you can use either one. And then
Charge the jab.
you just have to be careful about dodging, because it actually, when you're going pretty fast and then you front dodge or front diagonal dodge, you actually go pretty far. I mean, you can cover like half the field, like literally half the field, with like 2 dodges if you're going like fast enough. So at least, so use the dodges judiciously. But let's say you're Teddy back here, and you can get up the field, get a little bit of boost, and then use dodge. But here you're kind of lingering a little too far back. So first is calm, second is spacing, third is moving around the field quicker, to be able to get into position better. Because what happens is if you're not in good position, you have to rush up. You're using boost to do that, and then you often are making a very difficult play, sometimes either whiffing the ball or hitting the ball like at a suboptimal kind of angle, because you're trying to get to the ball as fast as you can because you weren't in good position. So really all it comes down to that is how can you get into good position? And you get into good position by comms, spacing, and getting around the field quicker. So hope that helps. That was a long replay. That was like a 2 games worth of replay. So we're not going to look at the other games, but we'll get together and look at another replay either maybe this weekend or next week, and we'll all get into like a Discord channel. So we'll do this again over Twitch, but get into a Discord channel so that we can actually talk with each other and kind of figure out like, maybe, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, you made a bad decision, or why did you, it's not like pointing fingers, but it's more about like kind of figuring out like, okay, well, I'm here, my teammate was there, the ball is there, this is what I was thinking when I was doing that. Or maybe you don't even remember, and we pause it and we look at it and we're like, oh, cool, okay, I would do this, and you watch the replay and you end up seeing yourself doing something different. So we'll do that all in the next replay, and again, probably take like about an hour. This one took an hour because it was actually like 2 games worth. I didn't realize it was a long overtime like that. But yeah, hopefully this was helpful. And if you have any questions for me, DM me, or, we can talk. I have access to the Marinara chat on Discord, so it's fine to do that too. So cool. Hope that helped. I'm going to run because it is late for me. And sorry for the weird stuff with the Epic Pen. Didn't always like work out the way I thought, but it's pretty much worked out. I thought it was kind of fun to use. Hopefully you thought it was fun to use as well. So see you guys. Sorry for the inception here, but I'll see you guys later. Thanks.